Hi guys, I'm Stasha Washburn and I'm here to tell you a little about how the taboo around menstruation began and the long-term effects of it now. Of course, we can't say that this is the absolute beginning of the taboo around menstruation, but this is a significant portion of how it really got put in stone. As our times changed and Christianity became more and more prevalent around the world, the monks, two Dominican monks, decided to write a handbook called the Malleus Maleficarum, which translated means witch hammer. It was a how-to torture and murder women who you could accuse of being a witch. What constitutes a witch, how to torture for information, and then murder said witch, basically. A how-to manual for murdering women. The effect of this was that 9 million women were murdered over the next 150 to 200 years. Okay, so 9 million women were murdered as ultimately witches. So that led me to wonder what exactly defined a woman as a witch. And it turns out that really any kind of caring gesture to another woman essentially made you a witch. For instance, you aren't feeling well, I give you a cup of chamomile tea, I am a witch because I am helping you feel better with herbs. You are giving birth and I bring to you some clary sage, very potent, very, very effective anti-cramping pain medication for women, herb as well. Now I'm a witch for giving you comfort in birth. The Malleus Maleficarum basically explains that the entrance of the womb is the mouth of the devil. So anything vaginally associated, birth, periods, anything really constituted, anything women-centered constituted association with the devil. So women's circles were immediately witches. Knitting circle, witch. Tea circle, witch. Anything where women gathered together, you were a witch. So women had no choice but to separate, right? If I help you, I'm a witch. I'm going to be tortured. My family is going to be left without a mom. My kids will be without a mom. My husband will be without a wife. My parents will be without a daughter. My sister will be without a sister. You just cease to be in a very horrific manner as well. And not before selling out everyone you know, because what else are you going to do? Right? So women stopped talking to other women because this took 200 years to happen, and it's not because they stopped murdering women as witches that there wasn't still that suspicion and that aggression and that fear, because it still goes on today and you can see it. Now, I don't think these two monks said, hey, this is going to be great in, 4 or 5 more centuries. Women are still going to be separate and apart because of this. I'm sure that wasn't, like, they didn't sit down and think that one out. But this is where we are now. We're competitive instead of collaborative because we have been ingrained deep into our genetics that to gather with other women will end in fear and pain. We're bitchy to other women, we compete with other women, we don't trust other women, and it honestly has very little to do with how we were raised or what our parents taught us or anything else. It has everything to do with how society treats us and how we've been taught. Or not how we've been taught, but how it's been handed down in our genes, right? So you can see this, read the studies about epigenetics where Holocaust survivors are passing down high anxiety, high depression rates, very high stress rates, much more out of sync cortisol because they're survivors of very high stress Holocaust survivors, right? They're high stress situations. They're the survivors and they're passing it down. And it's passed down multiple generations. So this is something that if we don't heal ourselves, we're just going to pass it down. And there's nothing you can do about it as far as stopping it's concerned, except for changing your own view. changing the way you interact with other women, and being very, very forgiving. Because there's not much that we can do except for spread the knowledge, educate those around us, be fiercely trustworthy no matter what has come before or has happened since. But this is how we ended up in such a competitive, distrustful state today. We don't think this taboo around menstruation, around women gathering, is a big deal. Who cares? So I didn't know that I shouldn't use tampons because the chemicals are bad for me. Who cares? I didn't know, pads would give me diaper rash. Who cares? It's not a big deal. I'll just switch to a cup or I'll just use some cloth pads and none of it will matter anymore, right? Wrong. This is the very heart and center of our being. Women evolved not with the fight or flight stress response. That study was done on men. It's about men. Women evolved with a stress response, tend and befriend. We are genetically deeper than the witch hunts, genetically coded to, in times of stress, tend to the family, the flock, the children, and befriend. We as women knew that if we need to defend the village against whatever enemy was coming in, that if we put the important stuff in the middle, like the kids and the animals in the middle, and we linked arms side by side, back to back, that we could defend our village. But we couldn't do it as one. The men went out and dealt with fight or flight situations. We tended and befriended, and that's our deep, deep, deep genetics. So this overlay of this stress from the burning times is in direct conflict with this deep, deep tend and befriend need that we have. So of course we're going out and we're trying to find new friends and we get a group and like 3 years later we're not friends anymore because something's happened and it's blown up and we can't be friends, right? Because that's just part of this cycle where we need friends, we need circles, we need other women, but we can't have it because of the fear, right? Because of the fear of pain. Even though we are not consciously aware of it, we know it's there. So this is where the taboo really was set in stone started. And this is how we ended up in a society where women don't trust other women. And I'd like you to look at the taboos around you. Maybe it's not just the taboo around menstruation that is affecting you. Maybe there's another taboo that's affecting you. Maybe it's body image taboos and not discussing weight or feeling good in your body if you feel that you're overweight. That's an absolute taboo. There's taboos around miscarriages. There's taboos around abortion. There's taboos around everything that a woman does. There's just a taboo around women. And every little bit and piece of our lives have been just dissected down into these terrible individual taboos. We have taboos around money, and just earning money. We're afraid to go in and ask for a raise. We're afraid to go in and charge our value because there's a taboo around money. There's a taboo around worth for women. All of these things are affecting our every single day lives. They're affecting our relationships, our friendships, our food, how we eat, who we eat with, what we eat, how we make money, how much we make, who we make that money for, really. All of these things are taboos. And this is where we really need to dig down in, look at our lives, and think, where could this really be coming from? And is this a taboo? And if it is, you need to start talking about it, because the only way to end the taboo is to just talk it out. Shed the light on it, bring that shadow work out, dive into it, get deep into that shadow work. How does it feel? Journal it, dance it, draw it, get muddy, take a bath in a mud puddle, paint your face, whatever it is. But get down, get dirty, get into that taboo and talk. Bring it out into the light. Show the world that taboo. And the more we do this, the more women we will have that we can tend and befriend, right? So this is my take on taboos. This is how I would love to see us talking about it. And I'd love for us to go into the Facebook group and talk about our taboos. Now, of course, we have Taboo Tuesday. Very, very typical, amazing, I shouldn't say typical, very awesome day where it's one of our favorite days in the group. It's become typical because it's such a busy day in there. And I love it. It's like typical Tuesday is going in and doing Taboo Tuesday work. But yeah, go in there, use the hashtag Taboo Tuesday, even if it's not Tuesday. This 5-day challenge is all week. Just go in and use the Taboo Tuesday hashtag all week. Feel free. And then absolutely let us know what your taboo is. How are you going to work through that taboo for yourself and talk about it, right? Let us support you. Let us love you. Let us tend and befriend you just as much as we can't wait for you to tend and befriend us as well. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you on the inside. Mwah.